What up, family? It's your boy Amadu back a minute early, but back with another episode of One Gotta Stay. I'm really excited for this one. Got a couple people I've been trying to get on here for a while. One tried and couldn't, but he's back. He's ready to go. He was actually recruiting for this one. That's how much he's into it. But we are here to talk about some of the best buddy cop films of all time. We got four of the best ever to do it. Beverly Hills Cop franchise, Bad Boys, Lethal Weapon, and Rush Hour. But more importantly, my panelists who may or may not agree with whether or not these are the best or not, I'm going to go over to this one over here. How many less beers from yesterday?
We are at -10 from this point in the time in the night yesterday, I want to say.
Okay, because yesterday was hilarious. And I made just for that want to do just an all drunk. We gotta stay one day. Because you are guaranteed that spot. But how you doing today, Peg?
I'm sober. That's something. I'm doing good. I'm excited for this one. It's gonna be interesting because I have a feeling that my list is very different from everybody else's.
Yeah. As usual. When I put it together, I was like, all right, well, Peggy's on. So let's get the other ones after that. Next to her is the man who continuously comes in clutch for me if I need a last-minute substitution. Even though I think about him a lot, he comes in, Mr. Ryan O'Regan. Mr. The Real Deal. How you doing, sir?
I'm good, Ruru. Again, yes, unfortunately, I know you had Joe Furley lined up for this, and more credit to him. He's going, he's working. I did not have any contact with his boss over there in England, so I did not make him have to work late. I want to make sure everyone knows that this is not a scam. I am not trying to come in behind people. I'm not trying to take them out, but it's always nice to be here, and especially talking about buddy cops when they're probably the only cops that we all can trust nowadays. So that's always good.
That's a bit true. A bit true. We're just gonna move on from that one. Down to the man with the VHS camera. We love it so much. Richie, how you doing, sir?
Yeah, I'm going good. Started to talk about buddy cop movies. First time on the show. I feel like the buddy cop genre is sort of not as prominent as it used to be back in the era what we're talking about now. So yeah, it'd be good to see everyone's list. As like Peggy, I feel like this is very different to everyone else's. So it's caused a lot of debate. So we'll see what happens.
Right, and next to him is a man who I played one of my first trivia matches up against a while ago. Haven't seen him since, but I know he's been watching. Glad to finally have him on. Shannon, how you doing, sir?
Oh, I'm doing good, Maru. When I got the list on these, I was correcting numbers, all kinds of different kinds of criteria, and now I'm just waiting to tell how fucking wrong I am with it now.
We will see. And last but not least, this man has switched his camera 3 times because he's going from frozen to not frozen to frozen to not frozen. But let's see if he's here. Tori, are you with us?
I hear you.
He had the problem last time. We're going to continue to try to keep him on.
In the spirit of the holidays, maybe we should work up a fund to get Tor a camera. Just something.
He's my man. He went to Berkeley with me. I don't have my Cal Berkeley sweater on, but we will see him in and out again and again and again because I'm determined to have him here. But as I said, we have, as I showed before, Beverly Hills Cop, Bad Boys, Lethal Weapon, and Rush Hour. And to start it off, I am going to go first. And when I came up with my list, I kind of knew what was going to be number 4 off rip. I love these franchises. I think they're really funny. I think they're really good. But to me, they're not the same. So my number 4 is Lethal Weapon.
Oh my gosh.
Is Lethal Weapon. Lethal Weapon is my number 4. I mean, one, Mel Gibson, when I loved him, I thought he could be a great Wolverine, and then whatever. But he's amazing. That Danny Glover, I'm too old for this shit, is also a great, just perfect line. And Joe Pesci, I don't know how many times I just go, okay, that's for him. But there's not much to be memorable. It's not as memorable to me as all the other three. It really is not. I can't remember for the life of me much of what happens in those Lethal Weapons, and I've seen four. I've seen all of them a good amount of times. So Lethal Weapon is my first out. Does anybody else also have Lethal Weapon out?
Yeah, that tells you your decision, Namaru.
I'm going to use a line from the movie now. I feel like to argue about this, I'm getting too old for this shit.
I'm sorry. I was very surprised. I thought I would have a lot in common where a lot of people would believe the same thing. I guess not.
How can you be talking about buddy cop movies without one of the OG buddy cop movie franchises? All right, Mel Gibson walked so that everyone else could run away with their guns. All right, and it wasn't even so much the buddy cop aspect. It's the simple fact that you had these two very different dichotomies of characters. You had the more straight-laced, Murtaugh, and you had crazy-ass Riggs. The juxtaposition of the two really makes what buddy cop stuff is supposed to be about. There's supposed to be differences, and they work together. To hate on, how are you going to put that at the bottom?
What'd you say, Tori?
They added a new lead at every edition.
Yeah.
You had Pesci in the second one. You had Rene Russo in the third one.
Yeah, I mean,
the fourth one introduced the world to Jet Li.
Yeah, pretty much.
I don't know, with the Lethal Weapon series, the first one had like a lot of heart as compared to most buddy cop movies, because you got the backstory with Riggs's wife, and you got to see the family dichotomy with Murtaugh and him being a family man and all that entailed. And I think that one
Murtaugh killed the neighbor's son.
It just, one was solid, and then it definitely, like most franchises, definitely started going downhill. What
I will say is, I do think out of all of them, they might be the most consistent. My thing is, when the other ones are great, they are greater than Lethal Weapons. Consistently good, and it just for me, that's how it ended up.
Aren't they supposed to be making a fifth one? Supposedly.
They're supposed to be making the next one of all of these franchises at some point. I don't know how they're going to do that with Mel, but
well, I think they're probably working on the fifth one. But I mean, for all intents and purposes, it also was one of the few of these that actually got a TV series that lasted more than one season.
Yeah, and different cast members.
When your TV series is better than your film, though, or is it?
Come
nah,
on, Damon Wayans to Danny Glover.
Give me 1 second.
Only Scott.
I'll just move myself for that. No one wants to Lethal Weapon 5. With that, we're going to go over. I guess we're going to go over to Peggy. Peggy, what is your number 4?
Okay, I'm going to get so much grief, but as compared to the other 3 options on this list, I thought this one relied on gimmicks a bit too much, and it was a bit too campy for my taste overall as compared to the other 3. So my number 4 is the Rush Hour series.
I
know I'm going to catch flack for that, but it is what it is. So
I mean, I understand that. Yeah, I mean, it's as far as like buddy cop ones go. I mean, it's hard with that relationship, is because I feel like with Chris Tucker's Carter, it's like it kind of devolves. Like I always watching the movies, I have a feeling, especially about the third one, that the car would just leave Lee hanging at a moment's notice, just to find for a nice piece of ass or whatever, and it's and just that progress of that. I mean, it just it's one thing that I enjoyed like the first like movie a lot, and then the second movie was I thought was pretty good for a sequel to a Buddy Cop movie, but the third one it just kind of ruined all the goodwill as far as that as far as the series, and especially Chris Tucker as the Carter. It ruined that.
Why do you have one of the funniest franchises to ever do it, ever, as number 4, Peggy?
Because I enjoy the other 3 more. Plain and simple. I mean,
I'll get 2.5 movie. It's probably two the movies funny. I would argue about the third one, but
the third one has good parts.
Being what it is, look, if the third one had come out when the franchise was still hot, it probably would have been like a completely different movie. The problem is they had to wait for Chris Tucker to get his ass out of jail before they could even do anything with the man. So, in that sense, Chris Tucker is his own worst enemy, more so than his character is.
Somewhat, but when he came back, he still had a little bit of the magic. I don't know. Did anybody else have Rush Hour as their number 4, or is Peggy alone there? Peggy, you are alone there. Christina might disown you after today.
Yeah, I know she's gonna be pissed about that choice.
But that's okay. That's okay. We're gonna move on to Shannon. Shannon, what did you have as your number 4?
Okay. Like I said, I was going through different criteria as far as like the films, and I mean, as far as like the franchise as a whole, and also as far as like buddy cops, like how does these films like work as a buddy cop arc in a relationship, and going by that criteria, I'm sorry, but my number 4 was Beverly Hills Cop. It's just that I don't consider Beverly Hills Cop a buddy cop series, because I mean it's mostly the Eddie Murphy show. I mean, true, there's Judge Reinhold and along for the ride, but compared to the other couplings of that we have here, I don't think it's nearly as strong as for buddy cop as the other ones. And also the fact that I mean, by the time we got number 3, it might as well be called Beverly Hills Cop 3, A. Murphy's Eagle, because that was pretty much the that film.
Well, okay, I will grant you that if you're looking at these series strictly as a buddy cop movies like series, I understand your argument there, because it was not just Eddie Murphy and one other person. And the first one, it was Eddie Murphy and Taggart and Rosewood, and then his friend from Detroit, and then more Bogomil more so in the second one, and then completely different person in Hector Alessandro in the third one. But if you're just going pound for pound, like best movies, I don't know how you have this 4th.
I'm sorry.
I mean, I would not disagree that Beverly Hills Cop by itself is a iconic movie. I mean, it looks like.
What?
Right, but here's the thing, Shannon. Here's the thing. I know this is like your first time on this, but if you get rid of the Beverly Hills Cop series, if you take that out of the equation completely, you are essentially neutering Eddie Murphy's career from jump. This is the franchise. This is the movie that put him really on the map. Mm-hmm. And for all intents and purposes, you want to talk buddy cop, this is probably the only series where there's like a throuple. And it's not just 2 people, because you've got Rosewood and Taggart that are pretty much like almost like a separate cop in themselves, but there's also the juxtaposition between those 2 as well. It's a nice little 3-way tango between all 3 of them, whether they're helping or trying to stop someone from doing something stupid. So that's probably the best dynamic out of any of the buddy cop films.
No, I mean, I agree. They have, I mean, great dynamic. All these series, I mean, they have great chemistry. That's why they have been successful series from time to time. I'm just saying, out of the other movies that we have listed, it just they're, as far as like Axel Foley's and Taggart and Rhodes with like relationship, as far as I mean, it's not as strong as the other ones. And really, I mean, it can, like I said, like I think Beverly Hills Cop 2 is a good movie, an entertainment movie as well. But I think it just becomes less about the buddy cop and then more about Eddie Murphy, like kind of taking over franchise, which he is a big star, and I don't deny the fact that it's the Beverly Hills. I mean, it's a cornerstone to his career, but he also has a ton of other great movies that around that time that could more than make up for the Beverly Hills Cop. I mean, Coming to America is a fucking classic.
Yeah.
Yeah, and look how long it's taking just to get one sequel off of that one.
Oh, I can't wait for that.
Yeah. All I know is that I am in the middle of Beverly Hills Cop, or I just finished it. I believe that Rosewood and Taggart are even more in the film in number 2, especially Rosewood. Than in what I consider that.
Well, yeah, because Taggart gets taken out a bit, and that hurts the whole dynamic.
Yeah, but still, I think it makes it even the fact that it's a throuple of a buddy cop film makes it that much more workable. I don't see it. I definitely don't have this as number 4. But what we're gonna do, we're gonna go over to.
Well, wait, did anybody else have Beverly Hills Cop with him?
No. I'm just gonna say it out loud now. No, nobody else had Beverly Hills Cop.
It wasn't going to be a popular decision, but that's how it was going. Just how my heart went. Sorry.
No, something tells me, Shannon, you're a bit young.
Real interesting now.
Actually, no. I remember. Like I think out of these ones, Beverly Hills Cop was the series I watched the most whenever I was a kid.
Okay.
I was a child of the '90s, so I mean, it was. Between Beverly Hills Cop and Beverly Hills 2, I watched frequently whenever I was young. Probably much younger than I should, but that's something I have to bring about my parents.
If you weren't around when Eddie Murphy hit on SNL and when this came out, people don't understand just how huge Eddie Murphy was. You think of how huge Will Smith was when Fresh Prince broke, times that by 5, and that's what Eddie Murphy was back then.
Yeah. I mean, again. It hurts. I mean, it hurts me putting number 4 so low because I do think Eddie Murphy is a fantastic comedic talent, and I mean he alone especially the first two movies. I mean, what could be a cliche kind of script he elevates it with his presence. Yes. I mean, like I said, I'm not going to shit on all these. On his too.
No,
too
bad. That same argument could be made for Rush Hour with Chris Tucker. So because he can just take whatever script and add and just go.
Yeah.
I would argue that Beverly Hills Cop 2 was better than Beverly Hills Cop 1. And
I
Hills
agree.
Cop 1 was legendary.
I agree.
Of course.
The only blemish on the franchise is 3.
I grew up with 3. Don't do that.
Which is unwatchable.
I grew up with 3.
Say what you will about 3.
3 is unwatchable.
I still remember Axel crawling all over that
the Ferris wheel.
Yeah. And then
that
I always say,
a boss
turn that fucking song off.
All right, with that, we're gonna go over process of elimination. We know what it is. Ryan, you're number 4. Why?
I gotta be the one
hurt Joe Fairley's heart and mine.
I don't care. So, of these 4 franchises, I had to pick which one that, if it was taken away, would be the least detrimental, the least significant. It was Bad Boys. Let's face it. You may rate the movies when you watch them, but as far as Bad Boys is concerned, there is really nothing memorable about those movies. There's no lines that really stuck in the lexicon of movie watchers and fans. There is nothing about these movies that really make them stand out from any other buddy cop movie, with the exception of the 2 guys who they cast for it. And even then, they're pretty much just doing a 90s take on what you already got with Lethal Weapon. So what is it about this franchise that is supposed to be so great, aside from the Michael Bay-ness of it, of things blowing up, girls in tight clothing, and dudes shooting guns and missing a lot?
Oh, there are at least...
Back up. and give me a pack of tropical fruit Bovalicious.
And some Skittles. That is definitely iconic. Mike Lowry's name is iconic.
Yeah, that's the greatest thing about the words that they have. No one can say his name right.
Mike Lowry.
It's
I'm
him
sorry,
trying to
that's
be
not
Will
buddy
Smith.
material for me. That's linguistics does not help.
Everybody want to be like Mike. Yeah, you're gonna be retired like him too.
What I'm trying to figure out is how Tori and Richie also have Bad Boys at number 4. How is this happening?
My gosh,
bro!
Oh my!
Bad Boys was the most underwhelming franchise of all.
Like Ryan's saying, I just think it's not as memorable. I don't mind the franchise at all, but I think it sort of carries itself on the chemistry of Will Smith and Martin Lawrence. But it's not like it doesn't like if we talk about the movie, I can't really, I don't really, I can't. There's nothing that stands out to me. It's just the first one's good, second one's like fine, third one is better than I thought it was, but it's not like anything blow away. So out of the 4, it had to go number 4 for me.
And
they are underwhelming films.
If we took the franchise out, if it was gone, never existed, trust me, Will Smith's doing fine. All right, the king of 4th of July, he had enough movies up his arsenal with Independence Day and everything since. He didn't need Bad Boys. And Martin Lawrence, I hate to say it, maybe he shouldn't be doing movies. He was great on television, probably shouldn't be doing movies. His track record has not fared well.
Tori, you said they were underwhelming?
I said the movies were fine when you watch them, but they're not memorable.
Underwhelming films.
No.
He said underwhelming. Okay, he can say underwhelming. That's
fine. Look, all I know is that it has some of the funniest. The Reggie scene alone in 2, which is the worst of all of them, but it's still so much fun. They probably are the most memorable. Before I say, they are the most memorable and have the most chemistry between any of the 4. That's what I'm going to say. I believe they have the best chemistry out of all of the 4, and they are collectively the funniest and easiest to watch. Even in 2, when it was that 2 is not a good movie, but I will watch.
Agree with it. Yeah, agree. Yeah.
And 3 is much better, and it was so much better. I was going in like this is gonna be trash. I enjoyed the shit out of it. Like it was very good. I don't understand.
I'm still hung up on the part where there's no memorable lines. I mean, you can quote the first one up and down.
If you watch the movie enough, yes. But I'm talking about like if someone's never even seen the movies, could they say a line from it? No. But you could say that same thing about the other 3 franchises for sure.
Well, if you've never seen a movie,
that really makes it stand out from the pack.
I don't know. It's Michael Bay actually doing a good Michael Bay movie.
No, Michael Bay doing a good Michael Bay was The Rock. All right.
Maybe Armageddon.
All of them. I enjoy all those movies.
Even 13 Hours, I'll give him a flag for that one.
Face Off.
Face Off, yeah. Well, with that, where we're at, though, Caleb does agree. We have a lot of people who just actually don't think any of these are good, apparently. So easy number 4 is apparently not that easy because we have everybody had one of them out first. I got rid of Lethal Weapon. Peggy got rid of Rush Hour. I don't know why. Tori, Ryan, and Richie got rid of Bad Boys. And Shannon, he got rid of Beverly Hills Cop. So we're going to go from that to my number 3. And as much as I just tried to save it, you're not too far off when comparing to the other ones. Bad Boys was also my number 3. I will tell you this now, though. Bad Boys was number 2 until I rewatched Beverly Hills Cop because that was the one I knew I need to rewatch real quick and need to make sure before I make this decision. And again, it comes down to when you look at all of them, 1 is amazing, 2 is just a good time, but it kind of sucks, and 3 is pretty damn good. When you put them all together, that's how it ranks. Bad Boys is not better than the other 2 altogether. It really isn't. But I absolutely love it. There is no way that it's not better than Lethal Weapon to me. Plain.
That's fair.
Here's what I'll say about Bad Boys. Look, like I said when I first made my argument, they're fine when you watch them. It's kind of like watching fireworks go off. You know, it's a great spectacle in that instant. Are you really going to remember every single way things pop off on that? No, because it's too much, and it's going to be flashy, but it's not going to stick with you.
Well, did anybody else have Bad Boys as their number 3? No, so other people actually would save it besides the ones who didn't. So from there, we're going to go over to Richie. Richie, what is your number 3?
Yeah.
What are you taking out next?
Might ruffle some feathers here, but this is just with the time I grew up in. Number 3 is Lethal Weapon for me.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, it's just because I like the movies, that they're good, they're fine. But like the other two just hit me. The other two I got on the list just hit me better. And like I like watching them, but I think as sequels tend to do, that a sort of diminishing returns as each one came out. Like one's good, two's good, but 3 and 4 they just started dipping quality a bit. So that's why I'm a bit worried about Lethal Weapon 5. But yeah, they're good movies. But I just it's no other reason that it's number 3, just due to the fact I enjoy the other 2 movies more.
Yeah, I had Lethal Weapon as my 3 as well, and it was right there with Rush Hour between 3 and 4 for me. But I thought there was a little bit more heart, especially in the first one with Lethal Weapon. Actually, exclusively pretty much in the first one, and it kind of goes, like I said, goes down from there. But yeah, I agree with you, Richie. It's my number 3 as well.
Yeah, I will say number 4 was another surprising one, where number 4 was actually better than I thought, especially. Some of these movies like input people like Jet Li out of nowhere, and it's like, man, what are y'all doing? It worked, and it worked. So as much as it's number 4, it worked for me. These are great movies, but it's not up there with any of the other ones. It really.
Yeah, I like the 4th movie, but if you just judge the franchise as a whole, it's kind of weaker than the other 2 things. I like number 4. It's just surprising, but like a 4th movie in a franchise doesn't necessarily, it has no business being as good as it was. It was pretty good, but it's not like if you sort of when as if you keep running, if you keep I don't know, milking's the right word, but if you keep making installments in a franchise, there is that sort of there is that you run the risk of being kind of tiring out your audience and then dipping in quality. So, but I think number 4 was good given the risks of it. So but I am still worried about number 5.
Yeah, a little bit. All right. With that, let's go over to Shannon. Shannon, what is your number 3?
Oh well, this one was another hard one because it stars what I consider a action legend. I mean, not that these other people in these other years could not, be up there as well, but this is a legitimate legend that is still kicking ass well into an age where most people would just give it a go. But and this series was good, but it's to me it's just so much of like the mixed returns between the co-lead and the 3rd movie that I had to go with Rush Hour.
Yeah.
I mean, and I love Jackie Chan. Jackie Chan is the number 1 reason to watch these movies. I mean, he is. I mean, and his chemistry with Chris Tucker in the first movie it's unparalleled. With but it's just like the second one. It's good, but it's kind of like just repeats everything. But we're in Hong Kong. But then the 3rd one is like, oh, but now we're in France, and it just repeats the same story, and it just becomes like, and then Chris Tucker, you just see him mentally just check out, just pay my. You see him just waiting for his check to cash by the end of the 3rd one. So,
Ryan, did you also have Rush Hour as number 3? Because Tori did.
Yes, because Rush Hour is number 3. Because let's face it, as great as Jackie Chan was in this film franchise, obviously, I'd say probably the second movie was the best one for him. Chris Tucker. Let me talk about Chris Tucker for a second. All right, Chris Tucker pretty much plays Chris Tucker in every movie he's in. Since Friday when he was Smokey, he has played the same damn character every single time. And I'm sorry,
he is amazing at it. Almost every single time.
Element. It's like flames in the back of my head. It's like I can't with him. You could have gotten any other person. If you honestly needed like a black actor to play up against Jackie Chan for this franchise, if that was the motif you were going for, why on earth did you get possibly the most annoying motherfucker that was available in the 90s to portray this character?
Wait a minute. We're not going to have Chris Tucker slander. Chris Tucker is one of the most phenomenal comedic actors of all time.
Oh, there's going to be Chris Tucker slander. He put himself in the slammer. There's so much slander. All right?
Hey, look. Chris Tucker, look, they jumped the shark in 3 and 4. It went somewhere where I couldn't even justify that. But
there was a fourth one?
No 4 Rush Hour.
Don't tell me there's a fourth one, please. No, God, no.
Oh, yes, please do number 4. Please do number 4. That's the one I'm waiting for.
Look, I'm tired of shelling out my movie ticket money so that he can pay bail. All right? We're not doing this.
In fairness to Chris Tucker, he's not the only person that's been hired just to play himself. There's been myriad of other actors throughout Hollywood that are hired just to play themselves. Kevin Hart is one modern day.
Anyway. Though some of his movies are fun. Another one who should always play himself because he's absolutely amazing, Samuel L. Jackson. He plays the same character, and I don't care. He needs to continue to do that.
Are you telling me you are putting Chris Tucker on the same plateau as Kevin Hart and Sam Jackson?
Kevin Hart for damn sure. Yeah. Samuel L. Jackson, in terms of they play the same character. Yes, Samuel L. Jackson does it at a much higher level.
Carly Haley. He was good as Carly Haley in why can't I think of it? Matthew McConaughey, Sandra Bullock.
A Time to Kill.
Time to Kill. Yeah. He wasn't himself on that one. He rocked it out of the park.
And I hope they burn in hell. Yeah. Samuel L. Jackson.
Okay. All right. No,
you can't take one line and make a movie.
But I was I completely. I mean, and I also like I said, I think Chris Tucker. I mean, again, he's got limited range, obviously, but I think he is. But I think as far as like the first 2 movies, like. I mean, he is a good foil for Jackie Chan. It's just that that none of when we go back and look at Rush Hour, and none of the movies have like a memorable villain. It has good actors behind them, but they don't have enough to. Any of these
films have memorable villains?
I would argue. I would argue would have.
And definitely Beverly Hills Cop, I'd say.
I just watched it and I don't remember them. Only Brigitte Nielsen because she's Brigitte.
I would say Brigitte Nielsen and okay.
You don't remember his name, do you?
The Alphabet Bandit.
It's only because it's Brigitte Nielsen.
I'm even talking like the first Lethal Weapon with Jonathan Banks. Oh, I loved him as a fucking dickbag with that curly ass hair.
You mean Beverly Hills Cop?
Yeah, that's what I said. Beverly Hills Cop.
Lethal Weapon's got Gary Busey and his, but I mean his.
Oh yeah.
See, here's why I say that, because I always think that Brigitte Nielsen was in Lethal Weapon and that Gary Busey was in Beverly Hills Cop. They seem like the exact same villain in these films.
You're confusing the tall blondes.
Exactly. With that, we are down to everybody's last 2. It was Bad Boys at first, but I have Beverly Hills Cop and Rush Hour, as does Richie. We all have Beverly Hills Cop. Shannon just doesn't know what he's talking about. Because he says Bad Boys and Lethal Weapon are 1 and 2. He said
40 hours is right there for body cop comedy. It's
true. Tori had Beverly Hills Cop and Lethal Weapon, and as does Ryan. And if I said it, I don't remember if I did or not. Peggy has Bad Boys and Beverly Hills Cop. And going into that, Here's where the numbers stack up. 2 of us picked Rush Hour. 2 of us picked Lethal Weapon. And 2 of us, everybody who knows Peggy knows, I'm just giving it away now, picked Beverly Hills Cop.
Yes.
And since there's nobody on the island, let's just get into it. Richie, why is everybody else wrong?
Yeah,
Me and him
so-
at Rush Hour.
Your number one is Rush Hour because I've never seen. It's so entertaining. The chemistry is entertaining. I think one of the few things that I think Rush Hour 2 is better than Rush Hour 1. I think it's but Rush Hour 1 is really great. It's just like I just think that they play off each other so well. And I also think one of the sort of underrated aspects of movies in general, but also the Rush Hour series, it's got some of the best bloopers of all time. Like I watch it just for the actual bloopers at the end. It's amazing. But yeah, just I have endless fun with them. I know I can see the number 3 isn't as good as the other 2, but it's still fun. And I think it probably suffered from like not maybe having to wait that long for sequel that happens with movies. When they wait a while, it's generally not as good. But again, I still had fun with it. There's still pretty entertaining scenes with was it Yao Ming when he's
yeah, that is the one scene from 3 I remember about you. You was blind. No, I am blind. That was hilarious. And Caleb, you are very much correct. Ken Leung in Rush Hour 1 is the only villain that is definitely memorable. He is great.
Yeah,
he is lovely.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
He is lovely. Now, Ryan, you were talking about annoying Chris Tucker. I got a hot take that some people thought I was crazy for, and some people completely agree with me.
Spill it, Ruru. Come on.
Chris Tucker had a better 90s than Will Smith.
Oh.
Now, not talking box office. Nobody beat Will Smith's box office wise. But you compare their movies, Chris Tucker had a funnier 90s than Will Smith did. His movies.
Did Chris Tucker have a TV show that was successful for 6 seasons?
I am talking movies.
What part of the 90s are you talking about? Are we talking like from 90 to 99? Because I think you're missing some gaps there.
90s to 99. Friday, Rush Hour, Money Talks. Those 3 alone.
You're actually going Money Talks
hilarious. Money Talks is hilarious. And Rush Hour.
That great movie, Money Talks.
This is the only franchise out of all of them that has a sequel better than the original. Rush Hour 2 is better than Rush Hour 1.
But
to me,
this is the theory that I've been working on. I think if you're number 1, you like the number 2 in that series better than the first one, and that's why that's your number 1 overall pick. That's the one that's got to stay because you like 2 better than 1. You guys said Rush Hour 2 is better than 1, and then me, whoever, I have a theory that it was Tori, but whoever picked
Ryan agreed with you.
Oh, really?
Shannon and Tori have Lethal Weapon.
Okay. Well,
so talk to me, baby. What's your theory?
No, I liked Beverly Hills Cop 2 better than Beverly Hills Cop 1, even though I still love them all as a series as a whole. Is that accurate for you as well, or did you like 1 better?
To be honest, I kind of put them at even. I like Rush. I like Beverly Hills Cop 2 just as much as I like Beverly Hills Cop 1. Now, mind you, yes, there are stark contrasts between both movies, but I think as far as like what you're paying for and what you're getting out of the movie, like you get that with both of them. Like I said, I mean, I like this story. I like how they transplant someone from Detroit into Beverly Hills. That took up the majority of the one, but then they were able to expand upon that. It's not like they went ahead and just changed dynamics on the second film or had to play the exact opposite. I don't see Rosewood going over to Detroit. So
I didn't mean to get off track of Rush Hour there. Sorry about that. But no.
People keep thinking we have to take turns in this end. This is an argument. Go ahead and do what you want.
I mean, as far as Rush Hour is concerned, look, Chris Tucker aside, let's just take Chris Tucker out of the equation for a second. Jackie Chan, the man of so many of his own stunts, he has had so many better movies that have been able to showcase his athleticism than Rush Hour. Rush Hour was able to play onto that, but the fact of the matter is they got him so this way they could have someone who didn't speak English talking against somebody who spoke English in an annoying tone.
But that's the film.
Have they got any other movies to show of Jackie Chan's like comedic kind of chops? I really like. Maybe you could probably say Shanghai maybe new, but I feel like it was a good way to show off his sort of like he is like like it's a good way to show off his other side of his charismatic personality. You know what I mean? So I don't know.
You pull Chris Tucker out, it doesn't work.
I'd say Rumble in the Bronx shows him as more as charismatic than Rush Hour does.
Or Who Am I? Who Am I kind of does. But all his other films are martial arts films. This is supposed to be an action comedy, emphasis on the comedy. And
if you look at many martial arts, if Drunken Master alone, I would say is probably more of an action comedy.
It's still hilarious, but again, emphasis on the comedy. And Jackie Chan keeps up with Chris Tucker in both of the films. Again, I will say 3 might be one of the worst out of all of the films, but I love 1 and 2 so much. That's why it was this was one of the closest ones out of the top 3, except with the weapon. I'm sorry, Shannon. It was very close, but just my affinity for those 2. In Beverly Hills Cop, I grew up with 3. And then I went back and watched 1 and 2, and I thought 1 and 2 were really good, but I think Rush Hour 1 and Rush Hour 2 are 2 of the best 1-2 punches in comedy almost ever, period, to me, as a first film and a second film. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of shocked
that they didn't make it past the season.
I'm kind of shocked that nobody had Bad Boys as their number 1, not one of us.
Well, Shannon, why do you have Lethal Weapon over everything?
I would leave a weapon. I considered it, like I heard earlier, it's the OG of the body cop film, but also, I mean, you had the melding of so many great talents that kind of just like Mel Gibson, and I mean, arguably like close to his prime, like come off Mad Max and as a big star. Danny Glover is the holds it together as far as the straight man, the make sure that he doesn't go too wild. And then he had Richard Donner direct a fantastic in his prime. I mean, as far as like action directing, and then Shane Black, at least with the first film. I mean, again, so many films copied the Lethal Weapon formula to the degree. If you lose Lethal Weapon, what would be the state of the body? The buddy cult films in general. I mean, I'm surprised. I mean, again, we're going to personally, Mel Gibson in real life is a piece of shit. I mean, that's nobody's going to argue about that.
He's not a piece of shit. He's a racist piece of shit.
Yes, definitely a racist piece of shit as well. Yeah, I'm lying on to it. Yeah, but it's his. But transfer him in these movies, and I mean, I don't think I can play anybody else who could play Murtaugh, and like I said, Dan Glover, unsung hero of these films. I think he has like the Paramount line, "I'm too old for this shit," that he repeats, and I mean it gets kind of ad nauseum by the end of the series. And also memorable films, like I said, I was talking about earlier, like Gary Busey in the first one, Jet Li introduced. I mean, somebody that you could actually believe could there was a general threat in these films, and
they even made Chris Rock a little bit of a non-comedic actor, I guess. I enjoyed him in it. I like Lethal Weapon. Every time I go back watching it, I do enjoy the crap out of it. But again, Rush Hour for me and Bad Boys and Beverly Hills Cop are just a little bit higher. I love all these films though, and I think they're amazing. Peggy, any final thoughts? Oh, I will say, Joe had Bad Boys as number 1. He would have been our Bad Boys representative. He was staying on.
Aren't I glad that I took the place?
Peggy, any last thoughts, final words on our episode today?
Just like to say that everyone besides me and Ryan were wrong because Beverly Hills Cop should be number 1. But I had a good time, and I always look forward to these episodes, and I'm really looking forward to the upcoming riddle, if it's coming.
Thank you. Ryan, how about you? Final word, sir?
Oh, I've got so many final words because really we didn't even get to talk on the topic of like why Beverly Hills Cop should be at the top. But you
Go ahead,
go for it.
All right, fine. Look,
bring it.
Again, as we have always said on this show, if you eliminated the franchise, then you eliminated it completely, never existed. Now, to Shannon and Tori's respect with Lethal Weapon, yes, I'm the one to admit it. Lethal Weapon started the whole damn thing. And with every movie, they got bigger and bigger and a little bit better and a little bit better. But then there came a point of like going from 3 to 4 where they just kind of like jumped the shark for me. It became to that point where it's like it didn't matter what was going on in the movie. It mattered like what new actors they were going to throw into the thing. It started becoming like MCU. It doesn't matter what the story is about. It just matters about how many people you can cram into one film. And, credit to, Joe Pesci's character, credit to, actually utilizing Chris Rock in a way that wasn't just him completely being jokey. But I don't know. Even with Jet Li being thrown into the fourth one, it was like diminishing returns at that point. The minute I see Danny Glover running around in his boxers in the dark with, what was it, gasoline raining down on him and a guy with a whole blowtorch looking like a Batman villain, you lost me. I'm sorry. At that point, I got to tap out. But as far as now, mind you, some people could make the same argument with Beverly Hills Cop, but Beverly Hills Cop never strayed away from what was initially the main crux of that franchise. A guy from Detroit out here in Beverly Hills in California, checking things out from his perspective, from his point of view, and just even if it went all the way from like the Rodeo Drive to an amusement park, it was still Axel Foley just being like, "Get
the fuck out of here!"
That you just have to love that charisma that comes from. Even if they did go silly with the third movie, you never lost that Axel Foley feel. Whereas with other of these franchises, you could say that their motives and their characterizations kind of waned. And again, if you never had Beverly Hills Cop, chances are Eddie Murphy wouldn't have had the career jump off that he originally got. You could say it came from 48 Hours, but really, it came from that.
Wasn't the initial casting choice for Axel Foley Sylvester Stallone?
Yeah,
I did hear that. That would have been very different.
Well, he learned to make friends so this way he could get away with shit.
What was the initial casting for Bad Boys? Wasn't like John Lovitz and somebody?
John Lovitz and Martin Short or some shit like that.
Yeah.
God, that didn't happen. Ricky,
I would watch. I want to see John Lovitz going ahead and spraying bullets, man. I want to see that.
Oh, give it
Ricochet. That is the prime, action John Lithgow. If you want.
Richie, any final words on Rush Hour and the rest of the list?
This is fine. I respect everyone's opinion, but me and Amaru are right. It was fun. I really had fun. I'll be honest now. I'll pull out the curtain. I fucked up initially when I made this list, and I thought because in my head, I had Buddy Cop in my head, and I thought 48 Hours. I put 48 Hours, and Amaru has like, it's Beverly Hills Cop. So I changed it. I'm like, but yeah, it doesn't change the listing.
48 Hours is good too.
But yeah, no, this is fun, and I can't wait to see what the next thing is.
Yeah, appreciate it. And Shannon, you can go ahead and close out these final thoughts. I will say, everybody who always puts forth the argument without this one, there would be no other ones. And my comeback is, yours is the OG, but ours did it better. So with that, give me why you're OG. One final thought.
Well, I defended the Lethal Weapon. You go back and why my Bad Boys 2. Bad Boys was my number 2. I was going as far as that. It's one of those where I remember watching the first Bad Boys and thought it was okay. I mean, I thought it was really good. I mean, but then number 2, while entertaining, I thought it was kind of soured me on them characters. But I think Bad Boys for Life, watching it, I had my expectations so low that Bad Boys for Life blew it basically out of water and made me kind of really look forward to seeing what's happened next. And I do agree that I think Michael Bay became a detriment to the films, especially by number 2. But I think having new creative blood as far as the directing whatever for Bad Boys for Life really helped. And I feel like that with Will Smith and Martin Lawrence that they kind of grown like as far as their chemistry to like that again like their arc as characters. I believe they would like definitely like die for each other. They say it repeatedly too, but it was only Lethal Weapon, like Murtaugh and Riggs, that I thought was their relationship, like as far as my Cup films go, was the strongest. But I mean, I'm surprised at anybody because I before if you asked me like before like any other year, I would have probably put Bad Boys lower. But I mean, but I can say it kind of I reconsidered kind of like the action scenes and sequences and like I mean again, Bad Boys 2 is not a great film at all, but it does entertain out. I mean the highway scene is insane.
Mm-hmm.
It is insane. I don't think there's anything in these other series as insane as that sequence. But
anything as funny as Reggie coming up to pick up Martin Lawrence's daughter. That is one of the I remember that watching that for the first time. Dying laughing. But all four of these have been great. Do we have them? Do we have them? Tori, can you give your final thoughts?
Bro.
We're at the end. Your final thoughts. Why you have Lethal Weapon? Bro. We love you, bro. Hopefully you stay around. Why'd you have Lethal Weapon at the end?
Lethal Weapon is the greatest buddy cop film that was in this section. 3 absolutely great films. The 4th was a stretch, but 1 and 2 were phenomenal. The chemistry between Mel Gibson and Danny Glover, then adding Pesci. Okay.
Okay.
The story. Yeah. The stories, the films as a whole, the stories, they had heart. They had even in the buddy scenes. Shout out to Tony Crero, one of my acting teachers, who was one of the detectives in the detective pool. Even in those scenes, they're just a great amount of chemistry. Each story was different. They had a new villain, a new thing, a new angle to tackle. Phenomenal. Lethal Weapon.
All right. That's great to end off right there. I do appreciate all of y'all. Tori, I don't care how many times we got to do this. You're gonna get on one show.
We're gonna figure this out. We're gonna figure this out.
It's gonna work. It's gonna work. Peggy, I love you. Ryan, always coming in. I thank you. Richie and Shannon, thank y'all for coming on. I'm glad to have y'all for this first one. For the next episode, as Peggy had mentioned, we have our riddle. And for next week, if you want to be the very best, you gotta look at some of the prime examples. So you could maybe like listen to Earth, Wind, and Fire, maybe 40 Water. They were some of the best in their respective areas. You could look at Japanese Ninja Warrior. They killed those obstacle courses, or you could just train up, eat everything in sight, and believe fighting is more important than millions of lives of people's. Y'all will figure that out when it comes to that episode. It will come to you. That's next week. For Peggy, for Ryan, Richie, Shannon, and Tori. We will see y'all on the next one. Peace.